Hello, guys. This is Nikki Yu, also known as Faces Trader, and you're watching the Awesome 10X Philippine Market Update. It's June 2, 2021, and I'm here to give you a deep dive, or actually not a deep dive, but just a surface review of the Philippine market so far. So you're seeing that the Philippine markets is up 214 points, up 3%, 6,841. And more importantly, we actually saw a buy signal in the Philippine market since May 27, 2021. So actually, you're seeing in my Twitter account that I actually talked about Jollibee's reopening move, the breakout. Let me share to you the exact day. So we're only giving every Wednesday our updates. That's why you're hearing this a couple of days after the move. But if you do follow my Awesome 10X, my Twitter account, you'll see that I share Jollibee, Be Happy, consolidation over reopening moves happening, breaking out, eating chicken joy. So you're seeing actually that the market, not just JFC, you've got Macro Asia. We also shared and gave a buy signal in May 27, 2021. Nice volume sustained for MAC. So lumilipad aeroplano abroad, flying airlines, at least Lufthansa is a client of MAC. Very strong volumes as can be seen on that breakout and a continuous formation. This already 5 days happening. So the consolidation is over. We're actually seeing that the markets are in the Philippines continuing to rise. So here's what assessment in the Philippine markets are. Let me read to you what's happened in the index. Congrats in advance for those who bought, especially during the MSCI rebalancing. We talked about May 26, May 27, you've got the MSCI rebalancing opportunities, and that was the actual lows of most of the stocks. You've got a lot of discounts on that day, at least 10 to 20% within a week. So take a look at what happened. Let's read the index movers. SM is now trading at 1,000 pesos. Ayala Land is 37 pesos. SM Prime is 38. Ayala Corp is 810. JG Summit is 60 bucks. ICT is now trading at 149. URC is 142. BPI is 85.7. Jollibee is 195. GT Cap is 615. You've got Aboitiz Equity Ventures 39.7. Bloomberry is 7 pesos. Robinson's Land is now 18 bucks. San Miguel Corporation is 120. Mega World from as low as about 270 is now 3.2. Robinson's Retail is 52.5. BDO is 106.5. MPI is 404. AGI is 10.7. Meralco is 285. Pure Gold 38 coming from 32. Aboitiz Power is 23.4 coming from less than 21. PLDT is 1310, Security Bank is 124, FGen 30.5, Globe 1835, Emperador 979, Metro Bank 4855, DMCI 571, Luciatan Group 113.80. So you're seeing actually a full move green mode for your Philippine index. And when you look at your analytics, you can take a look on it. In the technical performance for your index, actually, even if you do an all shares performance, you're seeing that a lot of stocks are actually able to have a relative strength over the last week. So take a look at the 1 month changes. All right. So from a 1 month change, CLI, well, this is not an index name, is now trading at 7 above. Your Century Tuna and GT Cap are almost 20% up. We're going to take a look, your ICT, Ayala Land. So let's take a look at these charts today. And what should you do if you have it? And what should you do if you don't have it as well? So I'm going to log in. It took me actually in our Discord channel, which is for free for people to want to listen in. We've got a free Discord community. We've been sharing some charts on Philippine markets, and we were sharing that people are gonna buy Chicken Joy, and we bought some PNB as well when it was trading near 20. So disclosure, I'm buying actually May 27. I started buying PNB, Philippine National Bank, at about 20 to 21. Because even if there was a property dividend, it was very low at 20. And I do think that the book value is going to rise, especially on the revaluation gains of PNB. So advance notice, Philippine stocks are cheap and will also be a reopening trade rally. I surmise you will make 20 to 30% on Philippine stocks, whether you just own the likes of malls like SM Prime or Ayala Land, back to real estate, or even Mega World. I mean, the property sector of the Philippines will recover. Philippines did not crater too much as I thought it could for MSCI rebalancing though. There's money to be made in Philippine assets. It's not as lucrative versus the USA, but it's still money nonetheless. Let's just say, pinapatulan ko basta't pera. I'm not mukhang pera. Sayang lang kasi may skills naman tayo. Gamitin natin sa lahat ng makakayanan natin. Haha. Galing talaga ng Chicken Joy. So you could see that Chicken Joy has been opening, and this is their Jollibee Europe's head of marketing sharing in her LinkedIn profile. Our first customers started lining up at 5:40 a.m. The Jollibee Europe team cannot wait to do it all again in Leicester Square. Opening new stores is always fully exciting. In the heart of London is going to be extra special. So in the Philippines, I do believe that Jollibee, URC, Pure Gold, SM Prime, Ayala Land, Ayala Corp, Mega World, mas maraming magagaling na companies in the Philippines. Mabibilang mo sila. Memorize nyo na yan dapat. And therefore, Jollibee consolidation is over. This was actually May 27. And you could see that move up. And we do think that Jollibee is going to go straight to about $218 to $240. So 240 pesos. So guys, why is it happening? It's because of the COVID vaccinations. So we've been seeing actually in the world that the COVID vaccines have been doing well. We actually shared that more than $1.68 billion doses have happened throughout the world. In fact, China and Australia and US have done well, save for the space in Guangdong, which just recently got locked down about 2 days ago. But you're seeing actually that the market is running not necessarily on the absence of bad news, but basically just simply on the hope. So you're seeing actually that Jollibee has been starting to pick up a lot of steam. And it's been picking up ever since this breakout here of May 18. But just in congruence with the market in the US actually bottoming out around May 14. May 12 to 14 was the actual bottom of the US. And in the Philippines, you're seeing actually the definitive breakout moves around May 26, May 27 upon MSCI rebalancing, or this huge bullish candle. So this was the first initial hope, and then the confirmation and another flag. How high will Jollibee go? We assume that it will actually be breaking this 210 in the next coming days or weeks. And then this is where the definitive resistance is going to be. Your first resistance for the 12 months time frame, let's say 2022 for Jollibee, is roughly in the realm of about 240 pesos. Now, if you recall, what is 240 pesos resistance or 236? That's actually prior to COVID. So that will tell you that the market will only buy Jollibee at 236 all the way higher if it really assumes that the world has already recovered, you can all travel, and so forth. So this is definitely a reopening tandem theme. And from the lows of 80, it hasn't finished. This is going to be a 3x move from the lows, 80 to 240. And then if you're going to wait all the way till about 2024 or 2025, we do think that all the benefits of Jollibee's global expansion is going to bear fruit around 2023 to 2025. In which case, does it mean that Jollibee will break into all-time highs of 320 come 3 to 4 years? The answer is yes. So that's going to be a 50% move from $200, 200 pesos to 320. So are you late? Technically, no. So if you're buying this for the reopening for the next 6 to 12 months, you can still make from about 194 another 18% move on Jollibee. And if you're waiting for another 2 years movement on the worldwide scale, then you're going to see the 2023 results going to be great. And we'll argue that Jollibee is going to be breaking 236 and hitting near the 280 to 320 sometime within the 2023 aspect. So this is going to be an uptrend channel. All of your losses in Jollibee in 2020 and 2019 will actually recover in the next 3 to 4 years. So the safety, the greatness of the movement actually has been showing. Actually, in the 2020, Smashburger has already been recovering. So Jollibee is the perfect recovery play. Now, we also see that China's recovery has been very strong, and it's very obvious that when it comes to China's recovery, as well as the China three baby policy, let me discuss to you that China actually, almost all Chinese stocks grew very strongly last night, from Chinese cars, Chinese shopping malls, Chinese e-commerce names, specifically Alibaba, JD, Pintuotuo. 11% rally last night for Pintuotuo. Could see that very strong movement in Chinese companies. And in the Philippines, which is the most Chinese-centric play here, not only is it Jollibee, but also SM Prime. Yes, SM Prime has many malls in the Philippines, but more and more, SM Prime has been growing their Chinese SM shopping malls. Xiamen, Tianjin, Chengdu provinces, and all the way agreeing to grow further in China. So as you could see, this SM Prime is a reopening play, not just simply for the Philippines, mostly in the Philippines, but mostly, of course, in the Chinese play as well. So you're seeing the strength in SM Prime continuing to grow. And I'd say that any dips of SM Prime here at about 20, let's say 35 pesos or 36 pesos will definitively have a strong buyer. So definitely for the next 2 to 3 years, SM Prime will break that 42, and that will come into the hopes of your reopening. So very strong movement your SM Prime. I'd say that SM, I'm not too confident if it will break this 1,080 anytime soon. And if you're gonna ask me about the EPHE, the MSCI rebalancing triggered this huge movement, this huge uptrend already, the break of the downtrend. So when was this? Exactly May 26th, the MSCI rebalancing day. So we argue that the MSCI rebalancing day was a catalyst for the foreigners to buy EPHE, whether passive index flows or just simply a reopening recovery. So you're seeing actually that for 2021, we're ready to actually break and hit this $33 resistance for EPHE. That means 10% higher, which companies will trigger that higher move. We argued actually that MSCI's largest components, if you were listening to our MSCI rebalancing, we said that it's going to be, of course, your top index movers. So this was May 27. Philippines likes 666 because it is the devil, and that concludes our MSCI rebalancing day. So definitely you could see that May 27 in 6665, you saw that big move on the rebalancing day. Market value was 23 billion pesos, JG Summit, AEV, URC, Ayala Corp, SM Prime, Jollibee, Ayala Land, Mega World. It's quite obvious where the money flow is coming in. It's going into a lot of your conglomerates. So just to give you a sampler of how these conglomerates have been doing, so go into the biggest conglomerates in the Philippine market. So the reopening play, the reason why GT Capital has been strongly rising is not necessarily simply about GT Cap's ownership on Metrobank, but definitively actually with the car market. So the tempo here is that GT Cap has been undervalued and below NAV discount for quite so long that actually the market is in the assumption that the best beta play when it comes to reopening is GT Cap. We argued that to be true. Actually, since 2020, we were saying that 400 peso below of GT Cap was going to go back to 700. And we argue that it's still going to happen within the next coming months. So this movement of GT Cap should not be a surprise. The people will be able to see this current resistance at 680 retested 670, but definitely that will be the conclusion of your EPHE reopening rally. So assuming that within the next coming weeks, the GT cap does break 670 or hit 670, that could be a resistance. But for the people who are still trying to buy reopening themes, this one will continue to have a momentum. 600 pesos below for GT cap will continually be bought. So we argued, of course, that DWC is a tourism place, SEB and MAC. So you're seeing the same thing happening here. So DWC has bottomed here, even if there wasn't a lot of volume. Upon May 27 and first quarter earnings, despite earnings being down because of obviously there was no recovery in travel anytime soon, the assumption is that travel will come back sometime in late 2021 or first quarter of 2022. So definitely with the reopening resurgence, and even Airbnb is saying that we obviously have Airbnb in our US portfolios. This is an automatic breakout for your Airbnb and the move higher to about 190. In congruence with the entire world reopening, you will see, in fairness to the Philippines, a strong resumption for your Cebu Pacific to go back up. So we do argue that SEB is going to go back up at the very least here at 51 or 52, and eventually, guys, about as high as 70 peso. So for those who are still looking for some reopening themes, this is going to be a buying opportunity even at 45 bucks. So the lows was here at about 43 pesos here for your SEB. For those who still have cash in the sidelines, look no further. SEB is going to give you that big 10% move if you want a 10% move in the short term. So we are seeing as well Macro Asia, just like BWC, a strong drop but a strong rebound. This is going to be a V-shaped recovery, or if not a V-shaped recovery, a slow recovery, but still a V-shape nonetheless. It might take a while. It might take about a year. But by 2022, we do see the resumption of these airlines, and the ground aviation services of Macro Asia will therefore be very much on an improvement cycle in the next year. So we do see that this goes up. So those people who are buying at 5 pesos or 5.15, or those who bought at the lows of 4.50 or 4.70, or even at the deepest drop here of about 4 peso 20 plus, is still in the confirmation buy zone. So you have a lot of people buying reopening stocks. With Jollibee as the seller mover of your reopening, what does it mean that Max's and Pizza? We argue that yes, they will follow suit. This is a smaller restaurant, but it will recover nonetheless. And therefore, your Max's group here at about 6 pesos can return here to about 8 pesos, or recovery all the way to 30% higher. Now, how about for your Shakey's Pizza? Also going to be the same. We do see that it will reclaim this 8 pesos November highs, and therefore your PSEI will actually recover and break these November, January highs. So that is your first initial target resistance of 7,200 for your stock market index. So definitely you're seeing this movement. The movement started May 26, essentially during your MSCI rebalancing dates, and continuing further the first week of MSCI all the way now. This is the first week jump of your Philippine stock index. If you take a look at the weekly, how high can we go? Initially before, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. So let's see whether in the next 6 weeks or until end of June, if we can recover all the way to 7.2 at the very least. So very strong recovery means that the market is willing to buy on any dips. If 6.8 goes to 6.7, the market will continue to buy. It means that Macro Asia, if it goes about 5 pesos, there will be buyers on the dip. So this is becoming a buy the fucking dip type of story, guys. Your Macro Asia, BWC, Cebu Pacific, all of your reopening plays. Your SMs are, in fairness, perhaps going to go higher, but there will definitely be a resistance at 1,080. SM Prime looks to be a company that people would continually buy at 36. Now, what happens to your retail story? Robinson's Retail also catching up. In general, what's happening in the Philippines is that even the defensives like Robinson's Retail, which is a supermarket and drugstore, has been seeing a bottoming out play here. The bottom on March and another bottom here on May. Looks like Robinson's Retail can rally all the way to 58, even at 64. So the return is still very high versus the risk. So at 52.50, for those who still have cash on the side, you've got a million pesos out there sitting in the bank doing nothing. Try to make money while you're sleeping, investing in companies that are going to recover, guys, and will actually deliver the goods for you and make money while you can. So Robinson's Retail at 52.50 is still a buying mode even at 50. Seb at 45 below continues to be a buying mode. And for those who want the property recovery, Mega World, of course, was given as a discount on MSCI date. And definitely, we said to load up on the Mega World and Pure Gold discounts during MSCI rebalancing. Let's assume you did buy at 280 or even didn't. Here at 320, assuming that the index can go realistically to about 7,200, this is a far way across town. Your 320 can go as high as even not 420, even as high as 370. That gives you a leeway of another 10% higher. So 320 below for Mega World continues to be a buying mode. Now, if Mega World will recover, does that mean that AGI does recover too? So far, AGI has actually become a strong performer and never really dropped magnanimously back to 8. It was just consolidating here at 10 or 11, which tells us that AGI is being paid a premium by the market as a reopening play and didn't really fall south like GT Cap did. So GT Cap at 600 below is still going to be bought. And I'd argue that AGI with higher lows and shallow retracements here at 980 tells you that the path is still on the 12 peso zone rather than on the 10 peso zone. Any person looking at AGI will still see that this one is a buying zone. And for the people who are happy with the McDonald's BTS meal, yes, AGI is the McDonald's Philippines franchise owner, master franchise. So definitely there's still movement for AGI, but a bigger discount on Mega World nonetheless. Now, ICT has been a stellar performer and ICT just keeps on running higher. This is a V-shaped recovery. What does the ICT V-shaped recovery mean? It means that the world is really doing more trades and the global recovery is happening. ICT is more of a global recovery rather than strictly Philippines. Now, URC's movement on the upside tells us that the market is recovering for the entire ASEAN zone. So URC is not simply a Philippine market. Remember that URC is growing and selling all of those Jack and Jill and those all of those acquisitions over the last 5 years. We argue that 2015 to 2020 was all acquisitions for URC. And it's possible that in the next 5 years, your URC is in a long-term movement all the way to 240 pesos. So you're seeing is a recovery on your URC on the demand zone in the entire world. So junk foods galore, or well, you could argue that the market doesn't like to eat a lot of junk food, but it still is an essential need of all people. People can actually be healthy, but still consider buying buying junk food and beverages nonetheless. So we do see this one growing about 100% in the next 5 years. From 125 all the way to 240, this is a path of recovery zone. So if you have a long-term trajectory, you want to own some URC at about 125 to 140 pesos. Any drops here, guys, are by the effing dip. So definitely, you've got some great ideas. Let me ask questions. Let me answer some questions if ever there is any. Comments. Index stocks, is it a good buy? I agree. So you can still buy some Mega World. You can still buy some URC if you haven't. Your views on Urban One. Actually, for retail, okay. This is still a Philippine market update. We'll go discuss global markets later on. Sorry for that. We were a little bit late today, but I'll answer for Urban One. I think it's path. I didn't study Urban One, definitely, but it's going up with the retail play. It moved up before. This was the George Floyd, right? Related incidents. And then I'm not sure. I haven't been reading the report, so I can't really comment on Urban One. But if I'm going to comment simply based on the chart, this is a bullish movement. Urban One is going higher. I bought MAC at 480. I plan to hold for a year. Yup, you can do that. Looks like Macro Asia is going to be a primary reopening candidate. Pizza is also going to be a primary reopening. Where do you think is the optimism coming from to fuel this current rally? My argument on the fuel, guys, is the reopening on the COVID vaccines, guys. So thoughts on Pure Gold and Aboitiz Power. I gave a deep dive on Pure Gold and also gave a deep dive on Aboitiz Power. Do check it out in the Awesome 10X Philippine Market Deep Dives. For Pure Gold, I do think it goes back to about 45 to 50 bucks. Aboitiz Power can rally to as high as 30 bucks. You might as well buy it today and just make money while you sleep. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to buy and sell. You just buy it and sleep on it. Take and look at your portfolio 6 months from now. Oh, I made money, something like that. Um, for JG Summit, I think this is more of a play on Cebu Pacific and Robinson's Land and really a play on URC. Definitely, JG Summit has been rising very strong. And for others, they might actually argue that they'd prefer buying URC instead of JGS. Nonetheless, JGS is going up as a conglomerate move. Looks like, in my view, in terms of conglomerates, AGI and GT Cap have leeway to go higher, but JG Summit definitive bottom here at about 50 pesos. And so if you want a recovery play, you might actually still buy Robinson's Retail that's still trading at 52, still lagging behind your JG Summit. You can actually buy, guys, RHI versus JG Summit, because from an upside perspective, this rally 60 can go to about 70. Whereas but if you have JG Summit, then you just hold on to it. But Robinson's Retail can significantly go to about 52 to about 60 to 70. So from a risk reward standpoint, looks like Macro Asia, Robinson's Retail has a lot of leeway to go higher. Definitely, people were asking also a while ago about the retail segment like SSI. Yes, definitively, this bottom has bottomed. This stock has bottomed in a strong volume here, just like Macro Asia did. Looks like this one is on the way up. Any dips on SSI here at about 120 is definitely getting bought. The first resistance is somewhere here at about 145. Do note that there might be resistances on the upside, not necessarily a V shape all the way to 190. But if you're gonna long-term hold this, then definitely long-term means about 12 months to about 24 months. Yes, definitely we will see the resurgence of SSI, just as Shake Shack abroad, worldwide, is actually growing. And you're seeing that Shake Shack has been growing all the way. So uptrend here. So there will be dips. That correction will be a buying area, of course, but definitely this is on the way up. Okay, and most retail is actually strong worldwide. Yung PNB mo, ma'am, na-sell mo na. I bought PNB at about 21 below. I didn't sell yet. I'm looking to buy PNB and perhaps sell it near 30 pesos. So I do know that these levels were high, so I sold some at 30 and then bought back in. So I withheld buying I withheld the property dividends. But definitely, I do think that it goes back to about 30 because PNB stock owns the PNB property dividends as well. So it might actually trade within a range with supports here at 20. So I know that this is actually a definitive bottom. And definitively, there might be some resistances here at 29 to 31. So this is actually a vacuum area, which means that 23 can still rise to 26 or even at 27. The people who buy here at 20 might actually trim near 26 or 27 if it happens within a short-term time span. But definitely, if you're going to wait it out, perhaps you can sell it at about near 30. I bought nickel at 539, no problem. Actually, nickel is still on an uptrend. I'd say that the dips is still okay. It's now trading at 5 pesos 10 cents. You're seeing that the market is simply trying to profit take here on Nickel Asia, just like ASEAN. They're actually in a zone of just profit taking. This is actually what you call a zone of apathy. So you might see actually just 7 to 8 consolidation. So what is happening with ASEAN and nickel is not really a downtrend reversal, but you see actually just people who bought very low take some profits because they can make some money on reopening. I'd say that they've been buying some Jollibees, they've been buying some URCs, perhaps other people bought some SM Prime, some Pure Golds, so RHI. Definitely what happened in the market was they're actually probably taking some profits off of some great mining companies like Nickel Asia, and they're actually deploying it to some of their companies that are still battered down or still beaten down. So nickel Asia, no problem. Why am I saying that? Because the secular trend of nickel Asia is on the upside with electric vehicles and batteries needing a lot of nickel. So electric vehicles, secular trend on nickel Asia. And you see actually nickel prices also at $18,000. So you could see that the commodities is booming on almost all. I'd say gold, silver, copper, palladium, platinum, and nickel is also a beneficiary. So that said, in the short term, nickel might not get as much action because you've got so much opportunities in your TNBs, in your SSIs, your Mega Worlds, your AGIs, GT Cap, URC, SEB, MAC, and so much more. So if you recall, go to the Awesome 10X Awesome 10X YouTube. You could see in our YouTube channel, we talked about more than 1.68 billion vaccine doses have happened. And it's actually going to make the market rally sustainable, not just in the Philippines, also in the US and globally. And we actually argued here in Is Market Rally Sustainable? We argued that the answer is yes. So you could see that JD, growth stocks bottom, SoFi outperforms all the SPACs. So you've got actually a way to make a lot of money. And for those people who still don't have companies like Airbnb or Disney or DraftKings, you can actually make money and learn how to make money globally, not just in the Philippines. Take a look at our free classes online. These are awesome 10x classes. You can make some money on them. More than 1.68 billion vaccine doses in the world spurs reopening momentum. So the Philippines is, of course, as a country, a reopening theme. And therefore, why am I saying that the Philippines as an entire country is a reopening theme? Because most of our industries are all traditional. We don't have as much technology firms in the Philippines. And therefore, when you look at the Philippines, the resumption of people going to the malls, department stores, definitely benefits your SM Prime. So that is a consumption play. Definitively makes a lot of money for Pure Gold and for those retail giants that we have. So SM, Pure Gold are beneficiaries, not necessarily because of defensive alone. But really, they are the highest cash flow machines and a proxy for GDP expansion in the next 1 to 2 years, of course, versus the 2020 very low base. So the contraction in GDP is expected to recover in the next coming years for the Philippines. So that is definitively answered by your banks, your properties, basically traditional Flintstone industries, which is the Philippines. Okay, so looks like there's no other question. Let's go to our global already and see you again tomorrow. Sorry, for Philippines, we actually just see you every Wednesday. Tomorrow it's every Monday to Friday, we do global markets, and then Wednesdays, Philippine market deep dives. That's it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.